In the last lesson, you learned how to make a simple map of example data. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to customize the map. I want to briefly remind you that you can get help on the state Choroplethr function simply by typing $state Choroplethr in the console. All of the customization options that we're going to talk about now, you can learn about by reading the help file. Choroplethr gives you 4 basic ways to customize maps. The first is to add a title and legend to your map. This is the simplest form of customization, so we're going to cover it first. As a reminder, the easiest way to make a map with Choroplethr is to simply type state Choroplethr (df pop state) in the console. You should get a map that looks just like this. To add a title and legend to this map, simply set the title and legend parameters equal to the text of your choice. So here, to create this map, I just called the function state Choroplethr (df pop state) and set title equals, quote, 2012 state population estimates, comma, legend equals, quote, population. Choroplethr also lets you change the scale of the map. This is very useful to help you get different ways to view the same dataset. This is the basic map that we've been working with so far, but what I haven't talked about yet is how Choroplethr decides which color to assign to which state. By default, Choroplethr uses 7 different colors and assigns an equal number of states to each color. And so you can also make this map by typing state Choroplethr (df pop state, comma, num colors equals 7. However, if you set num colors to another number, for example 2, you'll get a very different map. By using 2 colors, Choroplethr will show you which states have above or below the median value of the dataset. And this gives you different interpretations of the data. Choroplethr can also render your map using what's known as a continuous scale. This is very useful for seeing outliers in the data. You can create this map by setting num colors equal to 1. And this is the first map we've seen that makes it very clear that California has the highest population in the US. Choroplethr also lets you zoom in on the states of your choice. For example, let's say that we want to zoom in on the west coast of America. We would simply type state Choroplethr (df pop state), comma, zoom equals C, parentheses, quote, California, Oregon, Washington. Zoom is a parameter that we haven't talked about yet, but you can set it to zoom in on any states that you're interested in. C is simply a function in R that takes a set of individual values and combines them into a vector. Finally, Choroplethr also lets you customize maps by superimposing a Choroplethr map over a reference map. This is the map that we just talked about. Choroplethr maps are what's known as a type of thematic map. Outside of the borders, This map only gives you one piece of information. It shows you the relative population of each state. Reference maps, by contrast, show you lots of different information. Here, we've superimposed our Choroplethr map over a reference map from Google Maps. And you can see that we have more information now. For example, we see the location of major cities as well as terrain. Choroplethr lets you superimpose Choroplethr maps over reference maps by setting the parameter reference map equal to true. And note that true needs to be written using all capital letters. We've covered a lot in this lesson, so let's review what we've covered. We learned how to customize Choroplethr maps. And there's 4 different ways to do this. The first is by adding a title and legend. The second is by changing the scale. The third is by zooming in. And the fourth is by superimposing our Choroplethr map over a reference map. We're also at the end of the module. And to reiterate, what we learned in this module is the basics of making maps with Choroplethr. We started by learning how to load the package, and that's very different than simply installing the package. We also learned how to view example data that Choroplethr ships with. In this case, it's the 2012 state population estimates. We then learned how to map that data, and finally, we learned how to customize that map.